Good morning and good afternoon, scholars. It's Miss Miller here with our science lesson for today. It is week 12, day 4. Today is going to be very short, very quick. All we're doing is rereading because good readers always reread because we may have missed something or we may learn something new. We're going to reread our pages from yesterday about reptiles and amphibians, and you are going to answer a question. We're going to answer it together, and I'm going to model how to write your answer. So let's get started. We're on pages 96 and 97. So real quick, I'm just going to point out some text features. Actually, I want you to think about what text features you see, because we're reading a nonfiction book. So what do you see on this page that we've talked about? You can pause the video while you think, and then we'll talk. Okay, so I see a keyword. That's the first thing I saw because it's big, it's bright, it's yellow, highlighted. It's bigger than the rest of the words. The keyword in this page is reptile. So reptile must be a very important word on this page, and the author wanted us to know that word. I see 2 photographs. I see a photograph of a snake, and I see a photograph of a tortoise is the word that they use on this page. And let's see, do I see anything else? I see 2 captions. They're going to tell us more about those photographs that we see. And I see a title. Now, boys and girls, it's like a heading. Sometimes titles and headings can be confused. Titles are always found at the top. Sometimes we can find a heading in the middle, but this tells us what we're going to be reading about. So if you told me title or heading, I would give you credit. I would say, you know what, you're right, because it's telling us what we're about to read. So the title or the heading says scale up. A reptile has dry skin covered with scales. Most reptiles walk on 4 legs. Most reptile mothers lay eggs. Most reptile mothers lay their eggs on land. So remember, reptiles lay their eggs on land. Okay? And then over here it says snakes are reptiles, but they don't have legs. Some snake mothers give birth to live young. A tortoise has a hard shell. The shell helps keep it safe. Keep that in mind because we will be needing to know that later. And then this page says on land and water. An amphibian lives in water and on land. Most amphibians have smooth, wet skin. They lay their eggs in water. Young amphibians live in the water. Most adult amphibians live on land. This toad, right here we've got a caption about a toad. It says this toad is an amphibian, but it has rough, bumpy skin. Its strong back legs help it jump. And then this animal right here, do you guys remember what that was from yesterday? It says this newt, so that's a newt. This newt is an amphibian. It has smooth, wet skin. And then yesterday, you were to answer these questions. It says, write where each group lays its eggs. So if you remember from our reading, where do reptiles lay their eggs? Let's see if we can find it in our reading. Oh, I see the word eggs right here. Most reptile mothers lay their eggs on land. So right here, you would write the word land. And then over here, where do amphibians lay their eggs? Right here, it says they lay their eggs in water. So you would write water right there. Awesome. So in your Learning in Place packet, it says for you to answer a question. The question is, what makes turtles different than other reptiles? So we talked about reptiles and what makes them special, but what does a tortoise have, or a turtle have, that makes it different from others? And if you read about it, if you go back and reread, if you forgot, you can find the answer. But if you remember, we're going to go ahead and write it. Okay, so I'm going to get my writing utensil. I'm going to use a marker. You should be using pencil, but I'm using a marker just so that you can see my answer, so that it's nice and big and bold for you. So I am going to use this, I'm going to use another sheet of paper. I'm going to model how to write a sentence. You guys are doing such a great job doing your work on Class Dojo and turning it in and showing it to me. There's something that we need to work on, though, is making sure we start with a capital letter, making sure that we have spaces, and that we're ending our sentences with a period, because we're almost finished, boys and girls. We're almost finished with first grade. And at the end of first grade, you should know how to write a sentence having those 3 things, okay? So I'm going to model and show you. So when I think of turtles, I think of that they have a shell, and the shell helps keep its body safe. So I've thought about what I'm going to write. Now I'm going to go ahead and start writing. But before I start, I always have to remember to start with a capital letter. So my sentence is going to be, turtles have a shell. Okay, so I'm going to start with a capital letter. Turtles. Make sure I have a space. Have a shell. Period. Oh, good. I have just enough room for the period. So, turtles have a shell. I've got a capital letter, I have spaces in between my words, and I have a period that says that I'm finished with that sentence. Now, I want to write about why they have a shell. So, a shell keeps a turtle's body safe. So I'm going to go ahead and write that sentence. So I'm going to go to the next line, and I'm going to write a shell keeps its body. Oh, good, this worked out. I was kind of hoping I would run out of room, because boys and girls, sometimes you will want to put your period right here. Well, I'm not finished with my sentence. A shell keeps its body, I want to write safe, but I don't have room. So I'm not going to put a period here because I'm not done. So a shell keeps its body, I'm going to write safe on the next line. Now I'm finished with my sentence, and now I can put my period. Okay? So your job is to answer the question, what makes turtles special than other reptiles? What do they have? They have a shell. So my sentences say, turtles have a shell. A shell keeps its body safe. I've got periods at the end of my sentences. I have spaces in between. Because remember, what happens if we don't have spaces? It all just looks like one giant word, and it's hard to read. So make sure you have spaces in between your words, and make sure you start each sentence with a capital letter. Okay? Now it's your turn to do that at home in your science journal if you have one, or just a piece of paper. If you've done a lot of writing, you can say it out loud, but make sure that you have answered the question and that you know what makes turtles special. So that was awesome. It was great talking to you guys and learning about reptiles and amphibians. I will see you all tomorrow for our last science video, which is crazy to think about. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's been great doing this with you all, and I will see you tomorrow for our last one. Bye.